Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to Battle Stratagem, and we pretty much have 2 videos left. So what I'm going to do in this is there's no more poll. I'm going to do this Battle Stratagem, and then as soon as I'm able to do another video for Battle Stratagem, it'll be the final one. And then this video series will be done, as there'll be no new codices to talk about. Of course, when a new codex does come out to replace this older version, I will do an updated video for the particular codex in question whenever that happens. So, up today is Witch Hunters. Before I talk about them, I want to say real quickly about their vehicles. Again, they're Imperial vehicles. Nothing really stands out in terms of destroying them, so anti-vehicle tactics will work here. I do want to bring your attention to the Exorcist. It's a very good tank, and more often than not, any good Witch Hunters list, Witch Hunters Codex list will have 1, if not 2 Exorcists in it. Does that mean you'll encounter lists that won't have them and they'll be bad lists? No, I'm just saying that the Exorcist is used. It's the workhorse, I would say. If there's one thing you're gonna almost be guaranteed to see aside from the troops, it's gonna be an Exorcist. So just keep that in mind. A brief rundown: it has D6 shots. It's got Predator stats as far as armor goes, and things like that. Its shots are of high strength and low AP, and it can fire a max of 6. So it's really good at dealing with heavy infantry, and it's also very good at dealing with vehicles up to like medium class vehicles, because it's strength 8. That being said, let's move on to the Codex proper. Now, dealing with the Witch Hunter Inquisitors, the Inquisitorial Stormtroopers, and the Assassins of this Codex are the exact same as dealing with the Daemonhunters versions, which are, aside for some psychic powers and some henchmen, exactly the same versions. They don't have, with the exception of the Assassins, they don't really have above average strength or toughness, so you'll be able to wound them easier. And in general, the saves aren't that great. I mean, the Stormtroopers do have 4 saves, and they work like the old Stormtroopers that have held guns and targeters, but they're a bit brittle. They're pretty well point costed, so they're there to help bulk out the ranks and things like that, and the Stormtroopers can take objectives being troops, but nothing really to say here. Just saturation of firepower against any of those units will work fine. But the bulk of the Witch Hunters army, pretty much, unless they're going sans Sisters of Battle, you're always going to see a Sisters of Battle squad, at least 1, if not 2. Or more, and of a variety of types, not just the troops, but the heavy support, fast attack, so on and so forth. Any Witch Hunters Codex will run them, unless they're going purely inquisitorial without any Sisters of Battle backup, which is rare. But as they're in every slot from HQ all the way to heavy support, you're going to see Sisters of Battle. Just like in the Daemonhunters Codex, you're going to see Grey Knights for the most part. There's more Sisters of Battle types, from the Seraphim to the Celestians to the just the Dominion squads and the standard Sisters of Battle squad. Before I talk about how to defeat the Sisters of Battle, I want to make it clear to you, the opponent, and if you happen to play Sisters of Battle, you the Sisters of Battle player, especially if you're new, they are not Space Marines. They have the power armor, the bolter, and the ballistic skill of a Space Marine, but, well, they don't really have the same bolter fluff-wise or the same power armor fluff-wise, but stat line-wise, they got the same exact stuff in armor save, ballistic skill, and war gear, as terms of the bolter as a Space Marine. But that's where the similarities end. In the shooting phase, you could say they're essentially the equivalent of a Space Marine, in terms of them hitting their enemy, but that's it. They have the strength and toughness of 3, the initiative of 3, and that really is a big difference when it comes to wounding them or getting wounded by them in close combat, for example. So really, they're dependent on the shooting phase. Can the Sisters of Battles take it to the assault phase? If absolutely necessary? Yeah, they can, and they got some abilities to help enhance that. But really, they're shooting heavy army. So I'm sure some of you will disagree. Some of you Sisters of Battle players out there, but when you're looking at it just stat line wise and stuff like that, a strength 4 weapon in the shooting phase should be their strength 3 in close combat, for example. Now, we'll be talking about faith points and stuff after I talk about defeating Sisters of Battle in general. So, how you deal with them? Well, in the shooting phase, As in the assault phase, Marine equivalent tactics, for anti-Marine equivalent tactics I should say, will apply against Sisters of Battle because of their armor save. So weapons that ignore their armor, weapons that force a lesser cover save or whatnot, will be of use and of great help against Sisters of Battle. Now that being said, in the shooting phase, saturation of firepower will be immensely helpful against Sisters of Battle, specifically out of all the Marine equivalent types, because their toughness is lower, it's easier to wound them, and because they do have a faith point to help them temporarily soak up any type of punishment you throw at them. So saturation of firepower is, I would say, almost equally as good as bypassing the armor in the shooting phase. In the assault phase, it's no different. You don't want to assault a fresh Sisters of Battle squad. They can weather the storm with their power armor, and they can attack back to a decent effect. Their sergeant, essentially their sergeant, their Sister Superior, can take decent weapon upgrades. So they're no, I don't want to say they're a slouch in close combat, because they're not, but they're not Space Marines, and the sooner you realize this when you face them, the more bold you can act in certain things and in certain ways and in certain phases that you maybe wouldn't do so against a Space Marine. But in the assault phase, again, anti-Marine tactics do work here. Power weapons, power fists, things of that nature will cut down a squad. Also, just saturating them with wounds will help overwhelm them. They do tend to be able to be fielded in bigger squads, 10 to 20, but as far as their troop goes, but still, whittle them down a bit in the shooting phase, hit them in the assault phase. A storm of attacks, like a high number of attacks, will help just whittle them down. Couple that in with a few hits that ignore armor, and you can start breaking them down. They do not have any no fear. They break just like any other regular troop would break, without any special rules to the contrary. So, I mean, they do have some things to help with that, but really, saturation of hits and bypassing armor will work against them in the assault phase. They're not, with the exception of maybe the Seraphim, for example, and the Celestians, they're really not that capable in the assault phase. Not as capable as a Space Marine. Again, it can be easy to kind of view them as such with their power armor and their bolters and whatnot. Now that being said, it's time to talk about their faith points and their acts of faith. This is unique to the Witch Hunters Codex. This is what gives them their extra kick. This is what can make them be very deadly. Acts of faith, they get, per faithful unit / character, they get a faith point. Unless it says otherwise in their entry. But they have to be faithful to get it. And only the faithful can use a faith point to do an act of faith. It's not a guarantee. They have to roll usually under, or it depends, either under or over the squad size to use it. It cannot be countered by a psychic hood or anything like that. But basically it lets them to temporarily, for a phase, basically, enhance themselves in some way, from increasing their initiative to giving themselves their armor save, turning it into an invulnerability save for that phase, or making them fearless, or increasing their strength, for example. Stuff like that. They have a list of it in their codex, which you can download on the PDF and see what I'm talking about. These powers can only be used in specific phases and you have to either roll under or over them or to use them. So there's a chance that your opponent may fail an act of faith. However, chances are they're going to use an act of faith that they have a pretty good chance of succeeding on. And this is one of the reasons why this pure, straight-up anti-Marine tactics won't be your greatest thing, but saturating with firepower will help. The ability to have the armor save become an invulnerability save is great at soaking up lots of firepower. 3+ invuln save for a phase can make or break a game, potentially. However, that power does, I know off the top of my head, that I believe they have to roll high, equal to or higher than the squad number, so a full squad can't benefit from it very easily. In fact, if the squad's over 12, or I forget exactly how it works, but if the squad has bigger, chances are they're going to fail. There are other ones that are required to roll under, in which a big squad will do well with. So it all depends on the situation and the power. But these powers can really enhance them for a phase. They can really turn a Sisters of Battle squad, which you may not view as that big of a threat to something, into a very big threat. Temporarily, yes, but still a very big threat. So how do you deal with this? Well, if you have some way of targeting specific units in a squad, wipe out their faithful, which is a Sister Superior, for example. Certain squads are just faithful in general, but if the squad has one member of it that's faithful that lets them use the power, if you have a way of targeting it, Vindicators, for example, or Telion of the Ultramarine Scouts, utilize that. Get rid of them. If not, hit the squad. If it's a squad that's fully faithful, hit that squad hard. Getting rid of the faithful units means their faith points are essentially useless, and it may panic your opponent into just burning off faith points just so they can use them before they lose the unit's capability to do so. Basically, you want to try and make the opponent spend faith points on your terms. You know they can make their squad's armor save and vulnerable for a phase. If there's a small squad, shoot at it with a squad with some plasma in it. Make them be fearful. Make them want that invulnerability save. Or present, if you have a horde, assault them. Make them make their initiative higher temporarily than yours. If you know you can weather that assault phase and still win, to maybe take extra casualties because of that, but do things to make them fall back and on their under half, so they have to spend to be fearless to come back. Things like that. That's how to deal with the faith points. And it's not really dealing with them because your opponent still gets to choose when to use them, but if you can really force their hand in using it, it can help you out. Lastly, they aren't as great as Grey Knights and resisting psychic powers, but they can nullify it on a roll of a 5+ if you target them in the area. Now you may view it as being better considering it's not a roll off, but 5+, it's like a 5+ invuln save. It's not the best, but they do have that, and force weapons only count as power weapons against them. So if you're an army that relies on, if you're an army or have a tactic that relies on force weaponry or psychic powers, you may find it a little bit more difficult to deal with Sisters of Battle. This is only for the Sisters of Battle that the Inquisitorial Stormtroopers do not get these benefits. So yeah, that's pretty much it about the Sisters of Battle. A very solid army, a bit harder to use because again they're not Space Marines, and a lot of new players play them as essentially female Space Marines and wonder why they do poorly. And their faith points can be a bit hard to use, but if you're facing an experienced Sisters of Battle player, you could be in for a very good match. So take what I say here, apply it to your own army list and tactics, and you may have a better chance at dealing with the Witch Hunters. Now granted, they are a rarer army to face, so you may only have like 2 or 3 people in your area who play them. But either way, that's pretty much it to say about them. They're just, don't view them as Space Marines. When you see Sisters of Battle, view them as a Stormtrooper with some extra gear, and fight them accordingly like that, and you should do pretty well against them. You should do better than if you view them as a Space Marine, because I know for a fact there's certain things I won't do even with my Space Marines against Space Marines that I'll do against Stormtroopers or Lessers, or not Lessers, but things that aren't Space Marines. So the same may be said for you, and the moment you get it out of your head that they're not, or get it into your head, I should say, that they're not Space Marines, you may be able to apply your tactics and your army strengths better, or to better effect. So anyway, that's pretty much it. I rambled on. I'm really hoping YouTube's new 15-minute thing holds true for this. And until next time, take it easy.